What's up, guys? So this is my third placed blind second branded build. So I got inspiration from another guy who I saw did a blind second build, and I've had an idea as well that I think blind second's actually really good this format for a lot of decks because the side deck cards, the staples are just so strong. And Despia's always been pretty good at going second when you play Chimera. And I think Chimera is actually a really good card this format as well because a 3300 monster that can't be targeted is just better than most things in the format right now. Decks struggle to out untargetable monsters, and decks struggle to out monsters that are bigger than 3300. And so because of that, I just really wanted to play a deck that abuses Chimera. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Dragoon, so I had to make a couple of weird choices in this. And there's definitely some updates I'm going to make to this list. So probably end of next week, you'll see an updated list about of what I've changed in this, but it still did well, like I said. So my matchups were: round one was against Branded, that was a quick 2-0. I lost that roll, but yeah, again, this deck in the mirror, I play Super Poly and stuff, so it's amazing. Round two was against Flunderies, unfortunately I lost that. Round three was against Labyrinth, that was another win for me, and then last round was again Branded, another really easy for me. The mirror I'm getting really comfortable with, so I do feel really confident in it. But yeah, stuff. So only playing 2 Aluba. So 2 Aluba, 3 Albus. And so the reason being is in this build you're using polymerization a lot, and you will see Poly on Super Poly a lot, and so you don't need as many Alubas, and especially because you also play 2 Tragedy in this build, and Tragedy has incredible synergy with your with your Poly and with your Allure, and so it's just very easy to get to Aluba, and it means that, for example, Allure becomes like a +2 or +3 or whatever. Same with Poly. Like, these cards become a lot better because of this. And so you just don't need the extra copies of Aluba. You could play 3, but it just doesn't come up that much. You play 3 Albaz because you do want to get into the Albaz engine, and so you just need to hard use him a lot. But this also is kind of a strength of the deck because I'm just very not weak to Ash. Like, I was blinding second all the time. My opponents had Ash all the time, but there was several times where I didn't even search Branded Fusion because I didn't need it. Like, I was drawing the cards instead, and then kind of hard making my Rebellions and all of these. And frequently I'd have like 8 cards in my hand because you have your Chimera draws, you have your Allure draws, and then Tragedies triggering and all these things. But yeah, so this ratio is quite good. I do like it a lot. I wouldn't change this part of the deck, or at least maybe 2 Albaz. Maybe I'll see how 2 Albaz is on Dueling Book tonight, but for the most part I was quite happy with it. I played 1 Cartesia, 1 Adlib, 1 Dramaturge. So okay, Dramaturge is really weird, where I would say that this is one of the best cards in my deck, and yet I'm still going to remove it because I know it shouldn't be there. I think it was just luck. The problem with this card is that it's very win-more. When you're already ahead in a good position, it's great, and it does some great things with chain links, but by and large, it's just not ideal. It's very easy for your opponent to play around it when they're summoning. It's mostly just a big body, and so I feel like it would make sense for me to remove this, and when I do get my Dragoon, putting a Dark Magician, for example, instead of this. They're pretty much about the same level of brickiness, only that facilitates me making Dragoon. Adlib was absolutely amazing. I used it all the time. One of the things that's so great about Adlib is it makes it very easy to kill in the battle phase with Brandon Red, because Brandon Red stops you attacking directly, Adlib does not. And so, for example, you use Brandon Red with this, bring something back, kill people. I was making Prosecinian all day. Like, Prosecinian becomes one of the best fusions combined with Adlib as well. And so yeah, this card was just so good. Cartesia, so I was playing Ecclesia initially, but I ended up deciding to switch to Cartesia at the last second just because I draw a lot, and so it's not hard to get to her, and then she's just a very good card in a grind game if it does get to a simplified game state. Adding herself back and giving me continuous fusions. I would say she's a little bit of a brick though, because she's not particularly amazing going second, and that's where Ecclesia is a little bit better, because Ecclesia is basically another copy of Albaz, so it basically gives you a free attempt to use Albaz effect, which is nice, especially when you combine it with Chain to discard Chain and get your patchwork. But I don't know, I'm up and down on Cartesia. I think she's okay. Maybe I could remove her completely. Initially I wasn't playing her, and then I put her in. But yeah, she was okay. She wasn't okay. She wasn't terrible. Then 3 Chain. Chain is amazing. It's just so good. You have loads of discard outlets, and what makes this card so amazing is because obviously you discard this and then it searches, and then Patchwork searches itself again and a Poly, and so it's continuous pluses, and this makes Chimera so easy to make. I was never really brick on it, so I was running 3 Chain, 2 Poly, 2 Patchwork, and that was a really strong ratio. And then post side, if I felt like it, I would go down to 2 Chain. But yeah, it didn't ever really brick me. I was always happy to see it. I could do it with hand traps in my hand as well, which is great. yeah, this card was amazing, and I definitely would keep it. It's also good allure fodder and just good discard fodder. One of the things about Despia, and this is more like how people play Despia before with more of a deep draw style, is that Despia does need a lot of discards, and this gives you the pluses to always have those discards. So I really like this card. I really like this engine. It was absolutely amazing, and Chimera was great. And I played 2 Radiant. So initially I was playing other things, but then I switched to Dark Kaiju because he just synergizes with Allure, which is awesome. Like, yeah, he synergizes with Allure. And one of the things as well is that, so I was playing Kurakara, but then I realized that because obviously this synergizes with Allure, it deals with the whole Arise Heart Pass nonsense that they're doing. So I'm playing both Nib and Radiant, and so whatever board the Kashtira player is making, I have an answer to it. And again, I'm drawing through my deck so much that I will see him. This card is also very strong in matchups like Labyrinth, and matchups like Runic, and matchups like Subterra, and in those back row matchups, because you're continually outing their like Labyrinth monsters and all of that stuff, which makes it hard for them to play the game. Like, if they don't have Lady Labyrinth, they're not going to get the pluses from Lady, etc, which is really nice. So yeah, really likes Radiant, definitely would keep him in the deck. Then I played 3 Nib as well. Just, yeah, it's a good card. Funnily enough, most of the time this was just fodder, and it didn't really need to be in the deck. This could easily be either just cut completely or replaced for another going second card, but I did like having a light monster in my deck that just has some extra utility. Sometimes I'd use it just to bait and negate, just so that they would cut a card for it, and then it's like, okay, now that there's one less card I have to worry about. But yeah, Nib was really good. I don't think I actually successfully resolved it, but yeah, I was still happy to have it. It did the job. Then we played 3 Fusion, 3 Opening, 1 Red, 1 Lost. So yeah, nothing really to say about these, but they're great. Brandon Red is great. I did see the list I was looking at played 2. The problem with this is, again, it's almost a bit like Dark World, where your deck draws so much, you're going to see cards. Like, you're going to see multiples if you play multiples, and so the only cards to play multiples are the cards that I was definitely always happy to see in multiples. I'm not always happy to see Brandon Red in multiples because I don't always have a way to get a Despia or Albaz engraved. I usually do, but not always. Lost was a lot worse because I wasn't playing other stuff. And this is another reason why I added Cartesia in as well, because before, when I was just playing pretty much Albaz, it's like Lost is just searching the Albaz for the most part, which is kind of useless. But now Lost searches Cartesia, which is nice because then Cartesia can do a little bit. But the chain block effect was good again, and what's nice about Lost, though, and I will always say, is that as soon as you activate Lost, players have to respond. It's a bit like Meltdown. They have to do something, because if they don't, they're going to lose their board. So I was against Labyrinth, he had Skill Drain up, and I had Lost, and I had Brandon Red, and I had Poly. I made a Chimera, then made a Brandon Red with the Chimera when it uses effect, so that I could pop the Skill Drain. They couldn't do anything about, which is really nice. But yeah, I like this ratio. Then, so obviously the 2 Poly as part of it, and then 3 Super Poly and 2 Patchwork. So look, yeah, you have loads of Polys in this deck, and that's a big strength. Other than that Predapant Bioslip, it's annoying. There's not an easily searchable monster that can act as polymerization, essentially, which is a shame. That can also be that spell, kind of, if you get what I mean, because you do need to pay polymerization to make Chimera worth it, because that makes it untargetable. Otherwise I wouldn't actually play it. But it's just useful always having a way to fuse from your hand when your Branded Fusion gets stopped. And like I said, you can see I'm playing loads of Albazes, and I've got other monster targets as well, which means that I activate Poly, I always have something to do with it, and then it's like I'm into my engine. Who cares if they ash my Branded Fusion? And so what would happen a lot as well is I would do my Albaz plays from a Poly, and then my Aluba was searching a Brandon Red or something instead, so that I could carry on following up with that. Patchwork, like I said, was absolutely insane, just plussing, and Super Poly was just very good. This is also insane in the mirror matchup, because in the mirror, obviously, we're both playing branded, so I'm just getting a free branded monster, not doing any resources. It also makes the lock a lot harder to do, because if they expulsion lock, but they have more than one monster on board, you can almost always Super Poly them, which is great. So this card came up in the mirror so much. It was absolutely amazing. Several times, again, because of the Patchwork engine, several times I was able to Poly people twice in their turn because I just had extra discards. Allure, absolutely amazing. Just cycle through your deck because you need to. 1 Talents, 1 Thrust. Again, I saw them almost every game, but I saw at least one almost every single game because I was drawing so much. And they're both just very good cards. I thought I'd play against Kashtira, but I managed to dodge the Kashtira player today, and so as a result, like, I didn't utilize them in that way. But they were still just very good cards against every other deck, because they're easy to make live. And then I played 2 Book of Eclipse. So originally I was playing Lightning Storm, but then I switched to Book of Eclipse because I wanted a card that was always live when I draw, because I'm drawing so much. Sometimes I have monsters like Chimera on board, and Chimera is a monster that is going to draw, and then I draw into Lightning Storm and I can't use it. So I wanted every card in my deck to be usable when I have a Chimera on board, which is why I'm not main decking evenly, and Book of Eclipse was one of the few that fit that and also still let me OTK. I do really like Dark Reader, but with Dark Reader you can't OTK, and I didn't want my games to go long. I was always trying to kill them instantly, so Book of Eclipse was good for that. It also had a little bit of utility in terms of dodging stuff as well. Like, remember, you can use this to dodge, to protect your Aluba from imperm and stuff, which happened once or twice, which is nice. And then I played the one Retribution. So the thing about one Retribution and one Duster. So the thing about Retribution is I actually regret playing it in this variant. I didn't need it. The add back was never relevant, at least when you're blinding second, because I wasn't trying to get into a grind. So yeah, this I probably would remove in the future, or put, I don't know, maybe even put it on the side, because it is so good going first, but when you're going second it's just a lot weaker. Duster was good, but it's weird. You play this because you don't want to lose to just random floodgates, and you're going to see it. The problem is, though, having a card that only deals with spells and traps is quite frustrating in certain matchups. Like, if you're against Kashtira, who cares if you get rid of Birth and stuff if they've still got a Rise on the board? Do you get it? And so that's the problem with Duster. So it is a good card, but sometimes I did regret having that Duster, because I'd see it in my hand and it's like, this is basically a dead card. Like, I get rid of their 2 sets, but okay, they've still got like 3 monsters on board. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so for the main deck, clean 40 again. Then going into the side deck, so yeah, I put the banishment in the side. In the main deck, I just, as good as this card is, because I'm blinding second, I don't want to see this. It's not doing anything on the turn I'm playing, so I don't want to see it, and so that's why it's there. And then 2 Lightning Storms, so yeah, this is just to cover for back row matchups. Then played Ash and Droll, so look, I respect Drytron, I respect, what's the other deck called? Dark World, and so I always have this, and I just think this is good against a lot of decks, so you guys will be seeing this in a lot of my side decks. Ash Blossom was just for branded, I only sided it in for branded. Then I played Evenly Matched as well, because Evenly Matched is great, and I played the Gimmick Puppet Lock because, yeah, when you go first, that wins every single matchup. Then if we look at the extract, I'd say nothing too unique. Again, I don't have my Dragoon yet, and so that's why I had to kind of do a little bit of differences. But I played the 1 Grand Guggenol. This monster, again, I don't think I actually need to play him, because I'm not playing Fusion Deployment either. I don't know if I actually even summoned him. Like, if I was using Cartesia's effect, I was using her to make Despia fusions, which are really good going second. But yeah, I played the 1 Grand Guggenol. Super Poly targets, these 2 are both really amazing in terms of Super Poly targets, because they just cover everything. Then we've got your Albaz targets, so you've got your Mirror Jades, you've got your Albions, you've got your Titaniclads. Sorry, my deck is a little bit jumbled up from locals. Yeah, so like, yeah, these are kind of all of your Albaz targets, which you go through them all, they're all very, very good. Titaniclad, like I said, is, so against, what's it called? Against Kashtira, the idea is that you just summon Titaniclad and beat over a Rice Heart because he's unaffected. But that's the only matchup Titaniclad's useful for. And so like I said, once I get my Dragoon, he's going out for Dragoon. Prosecinian, Masquerade, and Queritus. So look, these were all incredible, like today, like, yeah, especially Prosecinian. So look, Masquerade adds so much pressure, especially because if I couldn't kill them, I was putting them usually below like 2,000 life points, and so I'd make sure I'd have Masquerade as well, and so my opponent can't do much, which will close out the game. Queritus is nice, obviously, for just making everything weak and his float effects, but Prosecinian is absolutely nuts. Like, firstly, he's huge, 3,200. Secondly, he burns, so your opponent can't put stuff in defense. And lastly, he summons monsters back, which means in the mirror matchup, he's just crazy. Like, everything about Prosecinian is great, and even his materials are awesome because it lets you super poly very easily, it lets you regenerate resources easily. Like, this card I summoned so much to facilitate OTKs, like, was really, really, really strong. And I guess Grand Gurganol summoning him would have been nice, it just never came up for me. Guardian Chimera, absolutely amazing. So the reason why I'm only playing 1 as well is because even though I don't want Kashtira to get rid of it, any Kashtira player worth their salt is always going to get rid of this because this super polys their board. Even if they're not playing full Kashtira board, they're still more likely to get rid of this because it's just so easy to super poly the Arise Heart away or get rid of the Arise Heart. And so I'm not worried about playing the 1 Chimera. I don't feel like I need to, because genuinely speaking, and the other thing as well is I don't only need Chimera to break their board. So yeah, I was completely okay with just having 1 Chimera. I do have space for another, but I'm not. Dragostopenia is also very good. It's just a good monster in general. It's one of the best future monsters this format because modulating the levels is very useful right now. But yeah, guys, that was my blind second branded profile. So like I said, did very well. 3rd place at locals, X1 after 4 rounds. Definitely think I'm going to be trying it again. I've got another locals tomorrow, so I'll let you know, guys. Let you guys know how that goes. I might make some changes as well. But thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.